Market returns make me feel like I'm at great adventure. The GDP posts its best return ever, technically, and the Fed decided that $8 trillion was enough. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Joe Warpick coming at you. And let's start with stock market returns because, I love roller coasters. I love going to the amusement park, but I don't want to have that feeling with my money. And I'll tell you, this past month is going to go down as one of the worst Januaries on record. But as of today, we are seeing some signs of recovery. And also another note, when I talk about market performance, when I talk about the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones, nobody out there can invest in the Dow Jones, in the S&P 500, in the NASDAQ. You could buy an index-related fund, but you can't actually buy the index. So when I say that markets are doing well, that doesn't mean that all investors are doing well. That doesn't mean that even my investors are doing as well as the markets, because I don't necessarily want my investors to perform as high as the markets because I don't want them to lose as much when the markets fall. So just take that with a grain of salt, that when I talk about index performance, that does not mean it's your performance. As you can see, we saw the NASDAQ deep into correction territory. At one point was close to 17% down. We saw the S&P just about hit correction territory, and the Dow at its worst was down about 6%. Now, just so you understand, correction means that a market lost 10% from its previous closing high. That means peak to trough, the market fell 10%. When that loss exceeds 20%, we go from correction territory over to bear market territory. And just so you know, the S&P 500 has suffered 21 corrections in its last 50 years, but 6 of those have happened since 2015. So as I've been saying on this channel, as the markets continue to grow, as we start to see more and more money invested, volatility is here to stay. It's the norm. It's what's going to happen. Long gone are the days where the market moves a half or 1% in a month. Now we're going to continue to see this, especially now, we're going to continue to see volatility. So you have to be able to take it. Do not invest money in the stock market if you are not willing to see it decrease in value. Because I'm going to make you a promise if you invest in the markets, and that is you will lose money at some point in the future. It will happen. Your accounts will fall, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be able to weather the storm, because since the decline, we can see the markets have come back since January 27th. That NASDAQ loss of almost 17% has been reduced to about 9%. The Dow's down about 4%, and the S&P 500 could finish well below its correction territory. So we've already seen some significant returns since the bottom on January 27th. Now, does that mean that's the bottom for the whole year of 2022? Probably not. We will see this happen again and again and again until we get out of this mess. And what is this mess? This mess was caused by the pandemic and by the Fed. And the Fed, while they are there to help us, they do seem to make matters worse at times. So Fed Chairman Powell came out at his last meeting and he said, as of March, we are done buying bonds. So they're going to scale back, which is good because, as you can see, the Fed balance sheet has skyrocketed to over $8 trillion. $8 trillion on the Fed's balance sheet. It's just, the number is so big. And I've said this before, most people don't know how big a trillion is, but let me help you out. If you were going to begin counting seconds, 1, 2, 3, it would take you 11 days to count to 1 million. If you wanted to keep counting, 4, 5, 6, you wanted to get to 1 billion, that would only take you 32 years. And if you wanted to count to 1 trillion, that would take you 32,000 years worth of seconds. And our Fed has 8 times 32,000 years worth of seconds on its balance sheet, and they have to do something with that money. So it's going to be very interesting how they attempt to unwind this, and that is going to start in March. The markets didn't initially like that when they said it's going to go through. We knew this was going to happen. I think it's priced into the markets. I think we are aware of it, and the markets are still climbing. We're still seeing recovery happen here. Of course, we haven't recovered from our downs of January 27th, but the markets have not told us that they're completely against this, which is positive. Along with the Fed easing back on quantitative easing, they're also going to start raising interest rates. As I've said multiple times, we could see 3, 4, or 5 interest rate increases, which are going to do many things. They're going to drive mortgage rates up. They're going to make banks a lot more money. The positive is fixed rates will become better. The negative is it's going to be more. On another positive note, GDP just posted its largest gain of 5.7%, but it's really a false gain. And the reason I say that is because we lost 3.4% in 2020 going into 2021 because of the pandemic. So we're coming off of one of the worst years, and you don't judge your best year off your worst year. That's a terrible thing. That's what everybody's doing. Oh, inflation is so high. Yeah, inflation's high because the world shut down. Oh, it's the best GDP ever. Yeah, it's the best GDP ever because we had the worst GDP ever. The positive thing is it's getting better. I'm not going to use this number and say things are great because it's the best number ever. I'm going to look at it and say it's positive that it is growing. It's positive that we've regained back almost 90% of the jobs that were lost during the pandemic. Positive is that nearly all working Americans have seen at least a 4% pay raise. That means there's more money going out there for Americans to spend. The negative is that pay raise has to be paid back in the form of higher prices. Goods and services are going to continue to climb this year. Do not let that out of your memory. As I said, food prices will go up. Most goods and services are going to continue to climb. So be ready for this. Good news is most Americans are. And household savings is still at a high. We're still seeing people put money away. All of this bodes well. And I'm still not ready to say that we're going to have a negative year in 2022. So this volatility is here to stay. We're going to be on this roller coaster for a while. So like I've said before, make sure you buckle in, make sure you put on a helmet, but it's not time to get off the ride yet because I see good things to come down the road. Make sure you check back every single week so you can hear what's actually going on in the markets and not what they're talking about on the news, because on the news, they're just trying to get you to click on there so they make money. And 9 times out of 10, what the article headline is not what's actually inside the article itself. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment down below so I know what you think about the videos, what you'd like to see in future videos. And as always, I'll see you next week.